little bit of regeneration energy. Probably cost me an arm or a leg somewhere down the line. Or I'll just be really little.
You!
Hold him firm, colonizer.
Okay.
Welcome, Time Ladies, Rotting Daleks, and Clara in a Can, to the 125th episode of an Unearthly Podcast, featuring the Witches Familiar by Stephen Moffat and streaming live on the 30th of September, 2015. I am Bill Sylvia, the Man in Black, and with me are Mad Matt Winchell.
Hello.
Randy Ronson McCulloch.
Admit it. You've all had this exact nightmare.
And Aaron Romeo Moonberg.
Ice cream.
What about me?
I didn't say my
I'm
usual
sorry, Tim.
pleasure and completely blew Bill out of the water.
I'm sorry. And Tim the Enchanter Sheridan.
That's better.
I did warn you all. I didn't get I need more sleep.
Tonight's gonna be interesting tonight.
Apparently, Bill has the mental capacity of a gerbil tonight. And that may be an insult to gerbils.
Ouch.
Yes.
And I just not like the words and the saying them.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and go on to the news here before Bill loses us completely.
Yes, probably best idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we don't have a lot of news tonight. The first thing we do have is a birthday, and that is Nicholas Briggs, best known as the voice of the Daleks among many, many, many
Cybermen,
Doctor Who
Ice
monsters.
Warriors, the Zygons, I think.
I wasn't going to go into a 5-minute list, Bill. Anyway, Nicholas Briggs turned 54 yesterday, the 29th of September.
Mm-hmm.
He is also, of course, one of the executive producers at Big Finish and one of our top choices to succeed Stephen Moffat at the running of Doctor Who.
Pretty pleased with
Happy
sugar on
birthday.
top.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Woo! Well, up next in our news, we have Under the Lake Before the Flood info up. We've got a few publicity shots for Under the Lake, along with the short synopsis of when an underwater base comes under attack, the Doctor and Clara must save the frightened crew and defeat an impossible threat. But what is behind these terrifying events? And can they really be haunted by ghosts?
I say yes, they can.
All right, we also have
Some sort of entity that resembles ghosts.
Yeah. And we've also got a synopsis for Before the Flood. On a remote army outpost, a fearsome alien warlord, the Fisher King, sets in motion a twisted plan to ensure his own survival. The ripples will be felt around the universe. Is this a chain of events inevitable? And can the Doctor do the unthinkable?
Now, we do know that these two episodes are a two-parter.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And from what we've heard is that the second episode actually takes place 100 years prior to the first episode.
So you take it the unthinkable is preventing a historic event, which is ironic because this is also the week that they announced that there was water on Mars.
Yes, I know that. I remember reading that and going, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yes, I wonder if it has the same effect in the real life.
Okay, so apparently one of the people that's in the photos here looks like a spectral version of a guy in a wife beater with an axe. I mean,
Yep.
seriously.
He's
This
also
is the best.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in one thing holding the axe. You can't tell he's that spectral, but he's also in the next picture, and he looks like the ghost of a war boy, to be kind of honest, with the black
Which to
eyes.
me lends all the more credence to the idea that it's like a Scooby-Doo story of a guy with a hollow projector, possibly a solid light force field, as you see in the trailers, them holding weapons, although dropping them when they phase through the walls.
Well, yeah, and he is apparently allied with the weird guy with the top hat, which is kind of a weird, kind of anachronistic outfit.
I think
But one that Moffat's really, really fond of.
I think the guy with the axe is the same guy that's in that red tinted picture. Like you see, it's kind of flamey looking, but he's kind of screaming and he's got a hat on.
I don't
Yeah,
think
the black
so,
guy.
Aaron, because they're not even the same race. If you look at those
No,
arms,
Yeah.
if you look closely, the spectral figure with the yellow axe is African American. If you look at his nose and the set of his ears and everything.
except you're looking at his arms, and his arms are very, very white.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like. No, it could be makeup or painted.
There isn't enough pancake to do that.
I'm thinking it's a digital painting of him, and that he's actually one of these ghosts in the following pictures.
Mm.
I don't know.
Like maybe
we
this
can
is
only
just
assume
as
at
he
this point.
dies in the red picture.
Yes.
Well, actually, no. One of the later pictures, it does look to be a black guy.
Can only make
Yeah.
educated guesses.
He is wearing
Where the
dog
two
tags.
ghosts are walking together.
Hmm.
You
Is he
look at the
wearing
two-
is his ghost wearing dog tags?
His
Yes,
ghost
his
is wearing
ghost
dog
is wearing
tags.
dog tags. It's the same one.
Okay.
Same dude.
Interesting.
Weird.
Well,
So we're
either
seeing
that or they're
someone's-
one of a group. It looks like there might be a whole bunch of
Yeah.
soldiers, in which case it's a whole bunch of guys similarly outfitted.
Possibly.
And this guy
No.
and these two guys might not be the same person, because there might be, a whole army of them.
Again,
Either that
we'll
or
have
might
to
be
wait
a
and
very
see.
interesting comparison in light contrast.
the same wife beater too that he's wearing.
Yeah, I know, but that's like standard, like soldier.
Standard issue
Except that
soldier
it's
attire.
Except that it's obviously an African American dude. They even have the tinting they've lightened up the tinting on his arm so you can tell that his skin is darker compared to the other ghost he's walking next to.
Well, we'll see.
Yep.
I'm not 100% convinced.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah, I'm
wait
not sure what's going on in
before
these
making a
pictures.
decision there. One thing that really stands out to me from these articles is that both Under the Lake and Before the Flood are set to air at 8:25, which is off by about an hour to what we would be expecting, I think, because we're looking between 7 and 7:30, depending on how late Strictly Come Dancing runs. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So this is pretty late comparatively, and we'll probably feed into a bit of what we were discussing last week with less people watching the first showing.
Yeah.
Is there something big airing on the BBC on that particular weekend?
I would
I
assume
haven't
it's
heard
just Strictly
anything.
Come Dancing, but I haven't heard of anything else.
Possibly the finals?
Oh.
I'm taking a quick trip over here to BBC One and taking a look see. It's possible that there's something actually big on TV, like a major sporting event.
Well, speaking of viewing, 3.7 million is not just the amount of money Dennis Hopper demanded in the movie Speed, but it's also how many people watched Doctor Who: The Witch is Familiar in the UK, which is a 16.6 share of the audience, according to unofficial overnight viewing figures. It suffered by being placed directly opposite live coverage of the Rugby World Cup on ITV, with England playing Wales, attracted an average of 8.3 million viewers, pushing the overnight audience for Doctor Who down to below 4 million for the first time since the series returned in 2005.
Rugby is supposed to unite people, not tear them apart.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe there's something special going on with rugby for the next couple weeks.
The rugby coverage topped the day, peaking at 10.8 million viewers, a 47.6% share, and it also pushed Strictly Come Dancing into second place for the day with 7.7 million viewers, and Casualty had 3.8 million watching, just ahead of The Doctor, which was also beaten by the late news, resulting in Doctor Who being fifth for the day.
Ouch.
On overnight figures, Doctor Who is currently 47th for the week. Final consolidated figures, which should see Doctor Who's audience rise dramatically, will be released next week. A feature-length version of the first 2 episodes of the series is being broadcast on BBC One later today. And this was posted on Sunday, so
Yep.
it was on Sunday.
So it was, yeah. That's not unusual, I guess, because if you remember last year's series premiere, it was originally aired in a theatrical version, and then I believe it has been broken up again for reruns into hour chunks.
Also, Doctor Who, The Witch's Familiar, had an audience appreciation, or AI, score of 83 out of 100. It was compiled by a specially selected panel of around 5,000 people who go online and rate and comment on programs.
And that's down, if I recall, from last year.
It's down by 1, which doesn't surprise me because it loses a lot of the shock and awe factor and becomes a little bit more of a standard episode from there.
The feature-length version of The Magician's Apprentice / The Witch's Familiar that I previously mentioned had an audience of 0.64 million viewers on BBC One Sunday afternoon, a 6.4% share of the audience. The program was once more up against rugby. This time Scotland versus USA, which had an average of 2.1 million viewers.
USA plays rugby?
Yes.
Yes, it
Why
does.
is this the first I've heard of this?
Because nobody in the USA except other rugby players give a shit about rugby.
They taught us rugby in school.
Yeah, and that's about all you ever hear about it. You don't hear about professional rugby when it's not on like the 6 o'clock news where they're saying, you know, when they talk about sports, they talk about baseball, basketball, American football, and occasionally soccer.
I mean,
and once in a while,
hockey.
tennis.
I do remember Giles mentioning that America takes rugby players, wraps them up in a whole bunch of padding, and renames them football.
That is basically where most of our rugby players go, is into football, because that's where the money is.
All right. Moving on. Speaking of things featuring The Magician's Apprentice, we do have our 7-day ratings for The Magician's Apprentice, which of course is not going to include all the BBC showings because, again, there was one about on the 8th day with the feature length, which some people might have waited for. We have a consolidated 7-day rating of 6.54 million viewers issued by Barb. These figures do not include those who watched on the BBC iPlayer, which had over 1.3 million download requests during the week. It has not yet actually overtaken traditional television, but over the next few years, I would not be shocked if it does so. That puts Doctor Who at 13th for the week, a bit higher if you remove shows that featured twice. I'm assuming they were multiple episodes within a short period. Yeah, I assume Coronation Street is probably daily, and it looks like X Factor might be multiple episodes in a week as well.
All right. Anything more to say on that?
Let's see here. Oh, it did have over 2 million higher than its nearest rival, which was Downton Abbey with 9.9 million viewers.
Take that, Downton Abbey. Ha.
Wait, how did 6.54 greater than 9.9? Let me hold up. Never mind. That's. Let me relook at this paragraph because now I'm confused what they're trying to say. I hate it when they do that. Oh, that was talking about the number one, which was the Great British Bake Off. So yes, Downton Abbey was above Doctor Who, but they decided to talk about the number one in there. I hate it when these articles do that. That has nothing to do with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on. All right. So, good news for people that have 3D televisions. The 3D version of Dark Water and Death in Heaven, which came out in theaters just a couple weeks prior to the season 9 premiere, is coming out on Blu-ray. And it is coming out, actually, it is out now. It came out September 22nd. It is basically the version as it was there with the Doctor's Meditation, which was the special prequel that was in the theaters as a special feature on the DVD. The Doctor's Meditation had been originally announced as a exclusive to the theaters, but then they changed their minds and put it online and aired it prior to the premiere here on BBC America. It is Blu-ray, NTSC, widescreen, region 1. Nothing really special I can see in the special features other than a 40-minute cinema interview with Capaldi and Coleman hosted by Will Wheaton. So if you're a Will Wheaton fan, there you go. And just a reminder for those of you that don't have 3D TVs, the full season version of that series, Series 8, has been out now for almost a year. And that is the complete, was it 12 episodes last year? The full season.
Yeah, I think so. 12 episodes with Deep Breath being double length, and the Christmas special probably would not have been included.
I believe it was not, because that was included on a separate DVD.
The 2014 Christmas special wasn't out yet, and the 2013 Christmas special would have included on a different set.
Mm-hmm. And for those that are looking forward to the release of Series 9 and can't wait for the full season version, Part 1 of Series 9 is coming out on Blu-ray and DVD November 3rd. And that is probably just going to be that's actually the first 6 episodes. So pretty much
so 3 stories. Well, no, because one of them's not actually a two-parter, just...
Yep, so it's the first 4 stories, the first 6 episodes, the first half season, and it's going to be coming out almost simultaneously with the airing of the 6th episode.
You got to get that Maisie Williams money.
Yeah, because that'll be episode 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, it'll be episode 7 will be out by the time it comes out, but just. So if you can't wait, that's coming out at the beginning of November. Look forward to it.
Well, we don't have any lost story. Oh wait, are you finished, Ken?
There was one more, I think, wasn't there? Yeah, the 10 Christmas specials. A limited edition box set for the Christmas specials for pretty much all of the Christmas specials we've had thus far. Christmas Invasion, Runaway Bride, Voyage of the Damned, Next Doctor, End of Time, Parts 1 and 2, A Christmas Carol, Doctor Widow Wardrobe, Snowmen, Time of the Doctor, and Last Christmas are all coming out in a limited edition box set.
Yeah, it would have been a dick move if they had only included the End of Time Part 1 and left out Part 2.
Yeah, it kind of would. It would have been. This includes all 10 specials plus a set of 5 graphically illustrated Christmas cards, exclusive bonus feature, and accompanying booklet. And it's available on October 19th, 2015. And the cost is £36. So this is an actual UK release.
For sure, UK
That
release,
means
yes.
that it might not be Region 1.
Let's see.
That depends. Is it Blu-ray?
Checking Amazon US, and it doesn't seem to be
it's
showing up on
Blu-ray.
Amazon United States
DVD
just
here?
yet.
It's Blu-ray, and I think a lot of Blu-rays these days tend to be non-region locked.
They have a different region
Pending.
coding, but they have a region coding. Whereas DVDs use region 1, 2, 3. Blu-rays tend to use region A, B, C, etc. But I don't know if UK is the same Blu-ray region.
I don't know.
And I don't have
DVD.
any details on what region coding it is.
I can't remember what it
Oh,
was,
come
but
to
I
think of
remember
it, these links aren't Amazon either. Is it on Amazon UK?
No, it's on the BBC shop.
Right. But I mean, usually they sell these releases on Amazon at some point. If it's not on Amazon UK yet, then that might be why it's not on Amazon US.
It might
is
be-
on
it
Amazon
might-
UK. It is both as Blu-ray and as DVD.
Does it say anything on
But it is
Amazon
not
UK
on
as,
Amazon US.
and the product details? Does
Um,
it say anything about region coding?
Let's see. Good question, because I know it did not on the BBC shop. Let's see. All right, the DVD is region 2. Let me check the Blu-ray. Blu-ray region B/2. So
So yeah,
they're both
it's
yeah
they're
Europe
both
discs.
non-USA. Yep.
Unless you have a region-free player.
Or you can only
Which I-
steal one.
Or you have a computer player that you can change the region coding on, because a lot of the region coding on computer players are software based.
Right.
But yeah, so this is not available for American release. It is a UK only release, and let's face it, if you are a true Doctor Who fan, you probably already have all of these specials, either included with the seasonal box sets we've gotten over here, and what have you.
I have them all on Netflix.
And Netflix as well. It's kind of weird to spend what would probably be about $100+ once shipping is involved in it, just to get 5 graphically illustrated Christmas cards. But if you're listening to us in the UK and you know people that like Doctor Who but don't have the stuff, this might be something to consider getting them.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Now you can go on, Aaron.
Yay! Well, we didn't have any lost stories this week, I guess. But there's something that has occurred that may possibly feel like a death in the family to most of us, and that's whatever happened to a Web of Fear episode 3. Missing episode hunter Philip Morris, the man responsible for recovering 9 missing episodes of Doctor Who, has told fans at a convention that he also located the missing episode 3 of Web of Fear, only for it to be stolen before it could be returned to United Kingdom. Previously missing episodes 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 of Enemy of the World were recovered in 2013, alongside episodes 2, 4, 5, and 6 of Web of Fear. 2 stories from the 5th season of Doctor Who, originally screened in 1967-1968. The films had been found gathering dust in a storeroom at a television relay station in Nigeria. These finds completed the 2 stories with the exception of episode 3 of The Web of Fear, an important episode in the history of the series as it introduced the character of the Brigadier. At the time, it was claimed that this episode was not located with the other finds. The 3rd episode was reconstructed by the BBC Doctor Who restoration team for the DVD release of the story. However, speaking at the Pandorica 2015 convention being held in Bristol this weekend, Philip Morris announced that when he initially located the episodes, episode 3 was indeed part of the collection. The negotiations for the return of the episodes took over 6 months, and when the episodes were finally returned to UK, episode 3 had vanished. Morris said he believed that after word of the find leaked out, an offer was made to a member of staff at the Nigerian station, and that the episode had been sold to a private collector. Currently, 97 episodes of Doctor Who remain missing from the BBC archive.
So, to the asshole that decided to leak this episode to a private collector and sell it, and to the asshole private collector Harry Van Staten wannabe, shame on you both.
Mm-hmm.
You fucktards.
You had to get it, you had to store it in your private little stash so that no one else in the world could see it, when everybody could be enjoying this episode and a complete serial right now.
You scums of the earth can eat it.
When it comes to jackasses of the planet Earth, right now, you are rating number 1.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
When all of Earth's civilizations end and we only have technological beings who are studying our culture through what is left over of our technology, and this recording happens to be one of them, let it be known to those beings that these two are fuck-offs.
If it ever reaches the light of day on who actually did this, who leaked it, and who bought it, you two are probably going to be lynched.
Yep. David lynched.
We'll string you up right next to the guy who shot that lion.
Oh.
But before they lynch you, I'm hoping they contact me first so I can give you each a special dick kicking.
We'll fly you out there, Randy.
All right. Well, more news. A Colin Baker experience. Is that the new Colin Baker jazz combo? No, it's not. It means that Colin Baker is going to visit the Doctor Who experience in Cardiff on October 10th, Saturday, and will take part in a Q&A session. He returns to the Doctor Who experience after he filmed the 5-ish Doctors reboot in 2013 with Peter Davison and Sylvester McCoy for the 50th anniversary, and he will be available for photos and signings during the day.
Oh. Yeah. So, yeah, question and answer. Colin, why did your doctor suck so much?
Podwriters.
Why did you have, like, the worst outfit ever created?
It was the 80s.
Oh, it's because my cat lapel was on my cat brooch was on my left lapel and not my right lapel. If it was on my right lapel, everything would have been perfect.
Oh, no, you'd still look like a patchwork quilt convention vomited on your outfit. Okay.
Like I said, the 80s.
Hope he brings some of his Big Finish companions with him.
Yep. It's also going to be a Dalek Day later in the month. On Saturday, October 24th.
Is Nick Briggs going to be there?
It says, you get to go on an interactive adventure and visit Skaro. You get a close-up to the fearsome Daleks, who will be roaming through the experience. You see the Daleks that featured in the opening two-parter of Doctor Who Series 9.
Nice.
Yeah. You learn how to operate a Dalek and take part in a Q&A session with a Dalek operator.
Anyone for bump-ums?
Learn how to operate a Dalek, because that worked
Dodgems.
so well for Clara in this episode.
Yep.
Anyone for Dodgems?
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything about Nick Briggs being there.
Sadly. But hey, we get the official Dalek operators. They're just as cool.
Yeah.
So the physical operators might be there, or will probably be there. Nick Briggs, maybe to do some voice segments, but it doesn't seem that's what the focus is.
Yeah. Focus is actually being a Dalek.
Mm.
What good is being a Dalek if you can't talk like one? Then you'll be Ian.
Mm.
Both Ians.
All right, that about wrap up that piece.
Pretty much.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay, and moving on to our final piece of Doctor Who news, and I guess Big Finish gave us all their news at once and didn't have anything left for the second round. But the only piece of Big Finish news we have is that unfortunately some of the Doctor Who spin-offs being released in 2016 had to be pushed back in order to ensure the production schedule. And that is the beginning of Charlotte Pollard Series 2 and the next entry of Gallifrey, Enemy Lines, have been pushed back from January and February 2016, both to October.
That's a pretty big pushback.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened. Maybe it was
So,
Torchwood.
I don't know if the extra Torchwood popping up all of a sudden had anything to do with this, or if there was problems with getting things ready for these specific productions, or what.
Could be a combination of both. It just so happens that they could more easily get Torchwood going off the ground right now, and it's also the perfect time to actually have all the actors in.
You know, it might also be the fact that they have to get the Torchwood people in while they're available.
Yes, which is what I was hinting at, is that
And,
their availability.
They're the ones that have, people all over the world. So, John Barrowman might knew that he was going to get called back to do, more Arrow for season 5. And it's like, I'll be able to do this, but I won't be able to do any more later this summer kind of thing. And they said, okay, we'll do this now. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
We'll find out eventually.
Yep. So that's really it from Big Finish, huh?
Yep.
Blew their whole wad right at the beginning of the season.
I should mention, this is not going to be news we can cover weekly because their sales tend to be weekend-only sales, but they have resumed doing sales every time a new episode of Doctor Who came out. This Saturday there was a this Saturday there was a Davros sale, which I picked up 3 CDs each. So, not each. I picked up 3 CDs related to Davros stories. Apparently there was one that did not go on sale that I found out about afterward. But so if you're interested in Big Finish and follow, they will be doing episodes or stories related to each new episode going on sale each week. They won't be new releases, but if you're looking to fill up your back catalog in a cheap way, that's always a good way to do so.
Yeah.
Is that the end of that one?
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's how that's bit.
That does give us time for some sci-fi news, which I really wasn't looking for.
Can you hold off on that for a moment, Bill?
Okay, sure.
A little bit of bad news from BBC America. Breakfast with Baker, which we announced last week, has already gone into repeats after less than a dozen episodes.
Yeah.
According to the guide, it is not even scheduled for next week, so apparently that was only a 2-week thing. Which is kind of annoying to me because it was really a fillet of Baker. Mm-hmm. A bunch of Sarah Jane episodes, followed by, I think, 1 Leela episode and a bunch of Keeper of Traken and Legopolis, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, they showed Robots of Death, and I was actually kind of surprised to see that.
That one kind of surprised me too, because I never really put that in the all-time great Tom Baker episodes. I liked it.
The gold robots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one.
I didn't say it was a bad episode.
That's a really good one.
I didn't put it in the all-time greats. I didn't, if I was going to put something from that same season, it would have been Talons of Wang Chiang, which is considered one of the best ones of that season.
I heard a cry.
There were other episodes I considered to be more epic than that one, but still,
Yeah.
I thought it was really good. I like that one.
But
I didn't say I didn't like it. Jeez.
How dare you hate on our favorite episodes?
Leela episode. Robots.
I feel like Doug Walker being persecuted because he said that, Thunderdome was better than Fury Road.
Get out.
Seriously, I'm not saying it's a bad episode. I'm just saying that there were more in that season that I thought would have been more memorable.
Well, they could have showed those episodes too. I mean, why wasn't Talon of Wayne? Well, maybe the guy in the yellow face, they were afraid of offending.
Maybe offending people, maybe.
It's still one of those that hit the top 10 list of best Doctor Who episodes when people make public opinion. No, and when people are accusing people of being racist, it's usually Celestial Toymaker comes up.
Which is also a bit of a stretch.
But
Tom Baker had the longest TV run too, so he has tons of serials that they could have shown. Even some of the more off ones were still fairly interesting. Pyramids of Mars.
They showed that.
One? Okay,
yes,
good.
They did show that one, yeah.
They showed Pyramids of Mars. They showed Hand of Fear.
They never miss up an opportunity to show Pyramids of Mars. For whatever reason, it seems to be his most popular story in at least some circles.
Yeah, I mean, they showed Zygon. They showed Genesis of the Daleks, Terror of the Zygons, Pyramids of Mars, Hand of Fear, all from Fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane.
Are they saying Revenge of the Cybermen wasn't up to snuff?
Apparently not.
Ouch.
And after that, they skip forward to Robots of Death. And then after that, I think it was Keeper of Traken and Legopolis. I mean, they didn't even include The Deadly Assassin.
Wow. Yeah, that is kind of a blow to your collection if you're not going to be putting up that one. That's kind of a major one there.
Yeah.
That's part of a timeline that gets important, especially towards the end of his run again.
I think they might have shown City of Death, but if they did, I didn't tape it because I own it, so...
Yeah, they showed it. I remember watching it one morning.
Yeah. So it's pretty much they cut from Robots of Death up to City of Death, and then they go into Keeper of Traken. They stay away, of course, from the Key to Time trilogy, or the Key to Time series, which I understand, and they keep away from the majority of the E-Space trilogy.
It was all good.
Yes, they are, but they're multi-part stories, and that would be why they stayed away from it.
Yeah.
Even still, I mean, after that, it was like Keeper of Traken and Legopolis, so at least they got those in. But it looks like that's not going to be continued. But it is kind of disappointing that of Classic Who, we were able to get like a dozen episodes, and that's it.
Yeah.
I bet you if the ratings go way down, they'll bring it back.
That they can repeat it.
Do we know the ratings for Breakfast with Baker at all?
No, we do not. It's even harder to say because the fact that those weren't even released under Breakfast of Baker. If you looked at the guide, it simply said Doctor Who. There was no intro or outro by Tom Baker. It just went straight into the serial.
Ooh.
So, I'm hoping that it's still an indicator that they might want to start putting Doctor Who on regularly. And do it, just do it in the half-hour chunks that originally came in. We all can deal with it. But please, please give us Classic Who and, all of it.
You're depriving us, damn you all, BBC.
All right, you said you had some basic sci-fi news, Bill?
Oh, well, no, I was saying we had time for it, but I didn't really look for it.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what came up. I know Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has started back up, but apparently Hulu is only making that available for Plus members, so I've not seen it yet.
Aaron and I saw it. We watched... we went to turn on the Muppets and discovered Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was on half hour later.
What were thoughts on that?
It was a pretty good start to the series. We've been watching
Any
that,
radical paradigm shifts?
well, if you want me to get into spoiler territory,
Probably will lean away from that for at least right now.
Yeah.
For the sake of the viewers.
I can tell you, if you hadn't watched the season before, you're going to be completely lost. Because everything that happened the season before is what they're dealing with now, only on a global scale. Other than that, it's basically following through from the finale last year.
Okay. I know Gotham resumed. Oh, sorry, you had more to say?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is we've also watched the first 2 episodes of Gotham.
Yeah, that I did get to see.
Both of them.
Yes.
The focus is away from the Penguin, though he does show up.
Right.
And seems to be more focusing on the character who will eventually be the Joker.
Yes.
And God, have they chosen a correct person.
And they did, I think, announce at one point that he was, in fact, a Joker. I know at the beginning of the series, they didn't want to do that. They were like, oh, we're going to introduce a new possible Joker frequently every few episodes or so. But then at one point, they were like, yeah, this is the episode showing the guy that'll be the Joker. That was the introduction of Jerome.
They did it, but he was still a question mark. But I'm pretty sure that they've decided, of all the potential Jokers, he was the most Joker.
Yeah, he's going full Joker at this point. Everything except the makeup.
He's pretty much. I really like him.
He seemed to be channeling Mark Hamill to me.
He's not just Mark Hamill. There are touches of Heath Ledger's Joker in there. There are touches of Jack Nicholson's Joker in there. And all that, I'm seeing that and I'm going, that's awesome. He's like a fillet of all the best parts of the Jokers. By the way,
this kind of gingerish kid.
Yes. I have finally figured out why I am not as fond of Heath Ledger's Joker as I am of others.
Mm-hmm.
What Heath Ledger's Joker was missing was a sense of showmanship.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's something that, Mark Hamill's Joker has in spades. Jack Nicholson's Joker had it, but Heath Ledger just kind of...
Cesar Romero's Joker had it.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Cesar Romero's Joker, despite being corny, had it in spades.
Yes, it's something that's very key to the Joker figure, and that's what Heath Ledger was missing.
That's actually something they touch on in the episode as something that Jerome has.
Yes, there's a scene, and this is not really that spoilerish, where they're trying to say, okay, you're going to be on TV, give me an introduction, and they're going through this various members of this crew, and finally they get to Jerome, and he stands on the chair and just goes, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, it's pretty much almost directly Mark Hamill. It's like,
yes,
wow. And I can tell he spent the off-season working on his Joker laugh.
Yeah. Altogether, a pretty good 2 episodes. Very interested where this is coming from. Or where this is going to, I should say. Penguin, I think they've pretty much wrapped up most of his story. He's pretty much where he's going to be when Batman comes around.
I don't think his story is entirely gone.
Not entirely.
I don't think Fish is dead.
True. He's one of those characters who their main job is going to be to maintain the status quo until the show ends. He doesn't really have... I mean, he might drop and come back up because that seems to happen a lot, but he doesn't really have... As of now, he's where he should be for Batman when Batman comes around.
Pretty much. And yeah, we've got him and we've got the Riddler both kind of on deck.
Yeah, and Riddler's story was just kicking off at the end of last season, and he's kind of developing that personality now. Mm-hmm.
So that's all going to be a kind of issues this year. I believe the focus for the first part's probably going to be on the Joker. Probably eventually winding up in him taking his, infamous acid bath. And then, of course, the downward slide of Edward Nygma, which is also cool. Yeah. And I would love to start seeing some of the other Batman villains beforehand show up. I would love to. We've seen Harvey Dent, but I would also love to see like Victor Freeze.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing someone like Black Mask as a young criminal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure,
he's not quite as well known as some of the. Since I'm not sure if he was around in the animated series days.
He wasn't that much, but he has been introduced a couple of times now, so he's starting to become a little more popular.
I do think they're going to stay away from Ra's al Ghul because of Arrow.
Probably.
Maybe.
Even though I think they've established it as a separate universe, but even still.
Yeah.
And the CW universe hasn't fired up yet. I think that's due out next week.
Yes. Next Tuesday and next Wednesday.
And I believe Supergirl doesn't actually start until later in the year. Like end of October.
I keep Googling the Legends of Tomorrow starting date because I keep forgetting that it's next year.
Yeah, it's a mid-season replacement. It's going to be January.
Okay, at least it's not October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I've got enough stuff going on in October that my TV's going to be busy.
Speaking of which, one thing we did not announce last week that is somewhat related because it's a character that we were hoping to show up in Legends of Tomorrow, but that will not because apparently Booster Gold is going to be having a movie, I believe, with Blue Beetle, if I remember right.
Interesting.
There's no word yet as to who's going to play him, but Nathan Fillion does want to, and I believe we were all on board with that.
Yeah,
I can see him as Ted Cord.
Yep. As Booster Gold, not Blue Beetle.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah.
Because you can imagine Nathan Fillion basically using his Captain Hammer persona as Booster Gold.
Yeah, that's right.
The it's not easy being cheesy kind of voice. Because, he would just play it with like a frick ton of extra cheese. And, he once said about Captain Hammer, it's the only role he's ever had where the director would say cut and go, no, cheesier.
Besides, we've got River, Simon, and Inara in the DC universe. We need Mal. Maybe Zoe as well. Kaylee, come on.
It'd be very interesting if they allowed him to cameo on Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be nice. But I know they were talking about keeping the TV and movie universes separate.
But at the same time, they were going to have Ian McGregor, I think it was, redo his Ra's al Ghul, but only canceled out because of scheduling conflicts.
Right. And I think there was talks about what's his name who plays Oliver Queen possibly cameoing in one of the movies as well.
Yeah, so that's going to be separate, but it doesn't mean that characters aren't equal. The thing is, if they're going to have, the movie versions will take precedence over screen versions, which is why they had to get rid of Deadshot. Because they don't want two running simultaneously being different people, I think, is their big issue.
Which is a bit silly if they're not going to even combine, but whatever.
Yeah, I know. It strikes me a little bit Highlander.
Except Highlander, eventually the show was able to cross over into the movies and take over the movies.
The show and the movie always crossed over. Episode 1 of Highlander had that original character, but at the same time, it was like they felt unable to really make more Highlander movies while the series was in full swing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it just kind of hits me as weird quasi continuity.
And then the series stopped, and then the movies came back, and they were bad.
Well,
anyway,
to be honest, Matt, there hadn't really been that good of a Highlander movie since the first one.
Agreed.
You had the first one, which was awesome. You had the second one, which, regardless of how it's cut, is shite.
Yeah.
It's just different levels of shite.
The third one was basically a watered-down version of the first.
It was kind of a semi-apology for the second. It's not bad, but it's not great. And then the fourth and the fifth are just... Ugh. Somebody barfed on my screen, please.
I didn't do that.
So now we're at 10 minutes to the hour, so I think it's about a good time to move into the 5-minute challenge, unless somebody has anything else they felt pressing to bring up.
No, I don't think I had anything. Oh, by the way, regardless of what people are saying, the Muppets are actually pretty funny. The new TV show.
Oh,
Yeah, like
okay. I haven't heard a thing, so. Whoosh.
Yeah, there's a new Muppet show on ABC. It's taking place as kind of a reality behind the scenes of Miss Piggy's talk show kind of thing.
Oh, I've just remembered now. Right, I heard some bullshit that sounded ridiculous about people bellyaching about Kermit getting a new girlfriend or something.
Yeah, Kermit and Piggy's broken up, and
Oh no, there were people making remarks because apparently he just started dating a younger, thinner version of Miss Piggy.
yeah, because apparently he has a thing for pigs. But the show is still funnier than hell.
Yep.
There's at one point in the episode that we watched where Kermit's trying to talk to Piggy, and Piggy's getting a hot rocks massage, and then at the end of it you hear her scream, "Ah, too hot, too hot!" And then as Kermit's leaving, the Swedish chef goes up and goes, "Whoa, someone's making the bacon." That was exactly our reaction. We're sitting here laughing our ass off, and I'm like, okay, this show gets DVR'd now. Exactly. It was the funniest thing. I almost fell off the couch.
it's great.
So, if you were ever
10
a
out of
Muppet
10.
fan,
We'll have to watch this now.
if you were ever a Muppets fan at any time, give this show a chance.
That's right.
It's apparently the funniest they've been since the original Muppets, or some of the movies. All right, that's all I wanted to say. Okay, so 5-minute challenge. Who's volunteering today?
Not me.
Not me.
How about
Bill,
you, Matt?
you do it. You should do it. Totally.
Oh, should I? Do you want me to?
I
can't remember if it's my time or not.
I think Bill should do it.
No, Bill's too mentally messed right now.
No.
I already told you what my summary would be.
It'll last like 5 seconds.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to rewatch it today, which is what I usually do when I make a summary. Is I watch it like an hour before we podcast. So
and that's why you're nervous about doing it then.
Yes, it is.
Okie doke. Fine. I guess I'll do it.
All right. Could you put the stopwatch URL up?
Oh, right.
Since I left my phone
stream.
Since I left the phone in the car, so I don't have my stopwatch off the phone. Okay, stopwatch. You ready, Matt?
Ready.
5-minute summary in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Immediately after the events of last time, the Doctor returns to Davros and decides that he needs to find out whether or not Clara is still alive, as well as the Master, and apparently he's not as worried about the TARDIS. More on that later. He takes Davros, removes him from his seat, takes the seat, and scoots off to meet the other Daleks. He proceeds to also produce a gun, which is the reason why he was able to get Davros out of the seat in the first place, and starts yelling at them to find Clara and Missy, mostly Clara, and to get them to him as quickly as possible right now. He continues this threat for a little while until he is suddenly sedated by the snakes. Meanwhile, we find out that Clara and the Master are actually still alive. Missy talking to Clara a little bit as Clara wakes up, being hogtied and upside down. She dispels a quick story about the doctor trying to test Clara and how smart she is and whether or not to drag her along some more. To which Clara figures out the Master's trick about teleportation with laser beams, and the Master finally unties her. They proceed to go into the sewers, which is also, the same word for Dalek is also graveyard, because apparently the place is lined with more or less melting dead Daleks. They get the attention of a censored and trying to bring down at least one Dalek to quickly have the sewer do away with it and then take the shell for themselves. Missy placing Clara inside the Dalek shell and going back up to the surface with it and pretending to be captive of the Clara Dalek. Meanwhile, the Doctor wakes up and has a bit more dialogue with Davros. Davros continues to admit to the fact that he is dying, that despite the fact that he is quite literally hooked up to the heartbeats of all of the Daleks within the city, he cannot sustain his life forever and will eventually die. And that if the Doctor was to, say, unplug a certain cord, he would actually also commit genocide on all the Daleks right then and there. The entire thing leading up to, of course, that the Doctor still won't kill everyone because compassion and mercy. To which they continue their dialogue, and he starts to believe that Davros really is dying, and that Davros is starting to worry about what his legacy is really going to be. To which the Doctor sits with Davros and they have a bit of a chat, and Davros actually uses his real eyes for the first time in God knows how long. As the dawn starts to break, he can no longer use his eyes and needs help and is about to die. The Doctor starts stringing things up to try and help him, but is at the last minute forced to use a little bit of regeneration energy, which is what exactly the Davros wanted in the first place, and starts stealing the regeneration energy from the Doctor to try and save the Daleks, as they are also dying of their own diseases, as they seem to be dying faster and faster due to mutations. As Missy's being brought into the group of Daleks, they start to question her, but are suddenly stopped as they all start to glow regeneration energy. Missy quickly runs after the Doctor, gets him detached from the machine, and they start to talk and start getting worried about what's going on until suddenly an earthquake happens. The entirety of the sewers have sensed the regeneration of the Daleks, and they want at the Daleks and want to live again as well. To which they make a break for it, run into the Clara Dalek, which starts to, after a few lines, starts to spout out the word mercy, something that the Daleks shouldn't be able to actually say, much less mention. After a few minutes, the Doctor puts things together and finally gets Clara out of the Dalek case and tells Missy to find her own way and tells her to run. They head back to where the TARDIS was, and he mentions the fact that it was a safety device that the TARDIS would blow apart into billions of pieces, and now that he's back in the right place, the TARDIS will reform over him and Clara, and they take off back into the stars once again. That's it.
All right. Ending it. I'm also giving you a deduction because you missed the ending. But that still puts you at 0-4-45.
Not bad.
You missed the fact that at the end of it, he does go back into young Davros.
Oh, that's right. And he goes back to young Davros and actually saves him.
Yes.
Which is why the Daleks know mercy.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, this is, of course, taking us to our likes and dislikes. Matt, what did you like about this episode in general?
I liked about this episode in general. I liked that we got to see another side of Davros. We don't get to see too much of him. He seems to be mostly one note and mostly manic. I like the fact that the more current Davros can be manic when he wants to be, but he also has a lot more going for him. This one, we actually almost start to believe that he might actually be dying, and he's actually somewhat sad for the things that he has accidentally done. Of course, he heel turns as usual.
You think, yeah.
Sure,
I mean, it's
yeah,
or is he, because he, pretty much was playing the Doctor like a harp.
And some people have complained about the fact that that he was full evil all the time, but I do like the fact that this draws on things such as the manipulation in Dalek, and I believe a few other episodes as well, where basically the Daleks have known to show a side like that, specifically when they're manipulating people, and I like that it draws that connection between Davros and the Daleks, that he does the same thing. I think it would kind of detract from him if, the one time he did this, he actually was sincere, because it would be out of character.
Yeah, they know,
or at least fully sincere. I do believe he was partially sincere.
They know emotions to the point that they can pretend them at the very least, but they will not actually ever show them, at least not to their enemies, most of all.
Yep.
All right.
But they will use them to toy with them, though, much like the Doctor in this particular story.
All right. Tim, how about you? What did you like about this episode?
I liked how this episode foreshadowed from the beginning one of the strengths of the Doctor, in that he's always one step ahead of the bad guys when you think he's behind. And how, like that thing where at the beginning Clara and Missy were saying, why does the Doctor always win? Because he says, because he knows he's going to. And then it's revealed when the Doctor pulls that, haha, I knew what you were trying to do all along on Davros. When you tricked me into giving you the regeneration energy, it was that you thought I was playing into your hands when you were really playing into my hands. Why?
Because one word, sewers.
Yes.
Actually, it was two words, wasn't it? First word was moron.
Moron.
Oh yeah. First word was moron. Second word, sewers.
Sewers. It was set up very well. The beginning and end. Like sort of a circle type thing. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
You are, but I think you're starting to talk in a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, how about you?
I'm going to go with the fact that I'm going to go with Missy here. The fact that she actually, while she wasn't actually outright plotting to kill Clara, she still was in character to the point where, she really wouldn't be bothered if Clara died. She knew she could still figure out a way. Clara was pretty much a convenience and an entertainment for her, and it worked.
I think part of her side goal was to kill Clara.
It partially was, but it was more like,
Because remember when everything was said and done, and Clara's in the Dalek outfit, and Missy runs into the Doctor, she goes out of her way to try to have the Doctor believe that Clara's Dalek was the Dalek that killed Clara.
But the killing Clara as part of the game was more important. She had 1,000 opportunities if she really just wanted to kill Clara and get on with her day, but it wouldn't have been fun then.
Well,
so
no,
she didn't.
That's wasn't her goal. Clara is unimportant to Missy. She's a non-existent.
Right.
But to have the Doctor wind up killing Clara on a misconception was too perfect.
Right.
And that's such a master thing to do.
Right, and even still, the fact that she was she wasn't above. Well, I might accidentally kill her in this hole. Oh well, I might accidentally have her killed by a Dalek. Oh well, and that just seems to that just seems perfectly in character to me, and it works.
Callous is a best description there.
Sure.
All right, Aaron, what did you like most about this episode?
I like kind of the callbacks to the original serial, The Daleks. There wasn't too many of them, but obviously the setting. But there was also the scene where they're walking through the caves too before they hit the sewers. They find she's like, oh, it's about 20 feet down. When they find
After knocking Clara in.
It looks almost like a well or something like that. But anyway, yeah, it's it reminded me when they're crawling through like the caves below the Dalek city in the Dalek serial back in the 60s. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just like trying to think of some of the other stuff too.
Oh, the architecture of the place.
Huh? What was that?
The architecture of everything too. The cities were somewhat reminiscent of
doors,
their old
yeah.
sets.
Yeah.
The doors, the sounds, everything was, yeah.
Oh yeah, and the little TV screen too.
Mm-hmm. Mine's kind of related to that is the fact that Moffat has apparently learned how to actually write continuity into his stories and actually learns that it's best if he addresses them. Because if you listen to the Doctor and Davros talking about Skaro, they mention the fact that yes, that they rebuilt it.
They rebuilt it. They miss home.
Mm-hmm. And that particular bit and a few others is a good sign that Moffat's starting to learn from his mistakes and is adapting to it.
The Daleks can rebuild it. They have the technology.
They have the capability.
And I also
did
like...
he say rebuilt or did he say brought it back? Because I got the impression it was ambiguous as to whether they went in time and brought it back or whether they actually just made a new one.
It sounded like they built it somehow.
But I think it might have been temporarily brought back.
Could also be temporarily.
Because otherwise there would not have been a billion generations of dead Daleks in their sewers.
True, and it depends upon how fast they make Daleks and how fast they die, though, too.
But regardless, it was a good nod, and I also like the fact that Moffat managed to stay away from everything he could have done that would have pissed me off.
Which is good. I was actually expecting someone to be really pissed off by the eyes.
The eyes?
Because I was actually waiting for an internet backlash about Davros actually having eyes.
Oh, actually using the eyes? No, that was...
No, I'm going to address that in scenes I didn't like, but it's a nitpick. And it's not because he opened his eyes, it's more the dialogue. Anyway, so what didn't you like in general, Matt?
Oh, what didn't I like? That's kind of a nitpick.
Yeah, I know.
That's really nitpicky. I
can tell you, I don't have a general thing. I have to take a pass.
Yeah, I kind of have to take a pass too.
The first time I watched the episode.
Even combining them both, I really can't come up with anything solidly that I could hate. This was actually a pretty solid one altogether.
All right, so you have to take a pass too?
I have to take a pass, yeah. I can't...
Okay, Tim.
Really stomach an idea to throw at it.
I guess I could talk about how, when you get down to it, this is just an episode where the Doctor and Davros talk to each other in a room while Claire and Missy try and get in the room.
That's actually a pretty good way of putting it.
And...
Kinda.
Yeah, I guess it feels like for the second part of a two-part season opener, it should have been like more.
No, I think that was the plot of Terra Firma as well.
But was Terra Firma a season opener?
Kind of, not technically, but it was intended to hold that role.
No, I just expect more from debut episodes. There's
okay.
No... So that's, but, it's not that bad or terrible thing to be. But I just don't
It's
want
a
to
solid
pass.
plot.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, you said you had one. In
Yes.
general, not a specific nitpick.
Keeping in mind that Clara has been traveling with the Doctor for several years and is smart enough to be a school teacher for several years running, she really took the idiot plot in this episode. I don't know if she took brain damage or what, between not understanding simple concepts like think and the case will do it, to, trusting Missy too much, she seemed like completely a dunce in this episode, and I just was yelling at her constantly.
All
That
right.
and the fact that she was in a Dalek casing facing Missy and did not exterminate. Even when she knew that she was trying to betray her.
All right. Well, I don't think there's really much I can say about that. Aaron, how about you? Dislike.
Dislike.
In general. In general.
In general? I guess, well, Tim kind of sort of took mine, and that was kind of a long, drawn-out conversation with the Doctor, between the Doctor and Davros. I mean, I understand that they were trying to convince us that, no, it's not really a trick this time. Davros really is dying, Something has to be done to save him for some reason. I think my other nitpick might possibly be, I wanted to see more swamp. I would have liked to see them do a callback to the swamp with the creatures in it.
True. Some
That would've been
Cthulhu
pretty
horror
cool.
outside when they're trying to get in. Yeah.
Some petrified vines.
Yeah,
I would-
or
some more-
petrified forest. Yeah.
Some more indicator that this is actually a radioactive wasteland
Yeah.
Like the original. Yeah.
I mean,
instead of a grassy
Great.
field overlooking a quarry.
yeah.
The quarry. There was also a muddy field in Wales
Yeah.
that was used mainly for the past segments.
Yeah, you don't get that feeling that it's Scarrow.
Yeah. It's kind of the Scarrow out of Genesis of the Daleks, because I don't think Genesis showed a lot of the petrified forest or anything like that either.
Yeah, but that was the Scarrow at, a long time ago.
Mhm.
But even if they'd had some of that mistiness, it would have been good.
Yeah.
That fogginess, but no, it was a perfectly clear field with green grass overlooking a perfectly nice quarry.
Unless it wasn't the actual planet Scarrow, they just happened to rebuild a Dalek city on another planet and want it to be treated like Scarrow or something.
And called it Scarrow themselves.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Davros has taught the Daleks gardening.
We shall plant the trees.
See, they're not actually. See, they're actually on lawnmowers.
Exterminate dandelions.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. So anyway, I mentioned I had to take a pass on this one too, because anything like that were just little itty bitty nitpicks to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I will bring them up in my nitpicky approved Department of Nitpicky and scene and you don't like. So let's go for scenes that you like. Your favorite scene.
Oh, so many good ones. I guess I'll throw this one off the top of my head. The Davros and the Doctor talking. Davros has opened his eyes and they've been talking for a few minutes. And the Doctor's like, "You're serious. You really are dying." And Davros kind of leans forward and he's like, "If of all the things in the universe to finally learn that you are a really awful doctor.
You are not a good doctor.
That you are not a good doctor." And they just kind of stare at each other for a few moments, and then they both crack up laughing.
The Doctor first, and then Davros.
I kick you now.
Why? Because that was your favorite scene?
Yes. This essentially, I mean, this is Davros with his self-proclaimed closest thing in the universe to a friend, and he's known for thousands of years at this point, and they're just that scene I think sells their friendship better than any of the
Their
scenes with
estranged
Missy.
friendship, yes.
It's
Yeah.
a strange friendship, and if you think about it, the Doctor has a lot of really strange friends because most of them are trying to kill him.
That and there's
I mean, look at
there's-
the Doctor and the Master. The Master went through years of this ultimate death plan to kill the Doctor theme, and again, they're apparently friends in a weird sort of way. Davros, these are not his friends; these are his arch enemies. But it's the old rival thing.
That moment where the Doctor is looking at Davros like, did he really make a joke? Is it okay to laugh? And then they just become these two old friends having a laugh together, and it just was brilliant. Especially, especially as a fan of Big Finish's Davros, which is the one where, like as I said, where Davros pretty much proclaims that the Doctor is his best friend in the universe, and
it kind of feeds
it just
off
comes
of that,
full
yeah.
circle there.
Yeah, it kind of does. Tim, how about your favorite scene?
My favorite scene that I like, just because I'm a silly pickle, is the scene where Missy and Clara are looking down the pit, and they say, "How do we know how deep it is?" And Clara says, "We should throw a rock down there." And Missy says, "Okay," and she pushes Clara in. Ah!
Split.
It's like, oh,
About 25 feet.
oh, Missy, you so silly girl.
That was a good scene. But
Yeah.
then again, this is an episode full of good scenes. So we're at you now, Bill.
God damn it. There's still a couple of good ones, Bill.
Yeah, I think for my backup, I'm going to have to go with the scene where the Doctor reveals that it was his plan all along, or not all along, but that he went with Davros's plan on purpose, and this is why, and this is what's going to happen.
He went with it because of mercy, but he knew you were going to try and trick him anyway.
All right. It's a good scene. It does harken back to the I know you know. Yeah.
I'm surprised that I Am the Doctor wasn't playing.
Because they're trying to avoid playing it with not.
True, but I think in
Mess.
Series 8 they would have played it.
Maybe it was they wouldn't have, because there were a few I Am the Doctor moments in Series 8.
I thought they
that
played
didn't.
it a couple times in Series 8.
No, you just heard it in your head.
We heard it in our heads because we wanted that song back so
Maybe.
badly. That's another thing, actually. Actually, I found my overall thing I don't care for. I don't remember a single bit of music out of this story.
I'm learning to expect that.
I still know. If you're going to half-ass it this much, at least bring back some of the memorable stuff. For crying out loud.
All right, Aaron,
The end.
your favorite scene.
My favorite scene is the anyone up for dodging scene. I bet you're wondering where I got this teacup.
Answer, it doesn't matter, I'm the Doctor.
Aaron just stole my scene, although I like the much earlier line, the one I uttered at the beginning, which threw Bill off his track. Admit it, you've all had this exact nightmare.
I cracked up when he opened the door and said that, and I was expecting him to show up in the chair, and then he said that, and I still cracked up laughing.
It was just unbelievably perfect.
Yes.
The other scene, my backup scene, was the Missy and Clara scene when Clara's hanging upside down and Missy's sharpening the stick.
It's just like, oh, master.
We're going to have to find. Well, we might be out here a while. We might have to go hunting. So what's the stick for? Or why am I hanging upside down in case there's nothing left to hunt? And she kept going back to it too. Seeing you as sandwiches now.
If it it is Skaro, there is nothing to hunt except for maybe Thals.
Or Cthulhu
Well,
monsters.
there's got to be something because the Thals have managed to survive.
True.
Yes.
Well, I mean, going off the 1964 serial, I would almost say they're vegetarians, but
Yeah, because they were farmers. They were farmers. They lived off of crops and plants and stuff. I don't
More
know
or
if they
less.
even had animals.
and ran out of food, I think.
You've heard it here, folks. The Thals are actually hippie elves.
Actually, there is food to be found on Skaro. If you were again remember that swamp you missed so much, Cthulhu monster in the swamp.
Everything I remember
Are you really
in the
going to go
swamp
on
is
how that
petrified.
tastes? Are you really planning on taking a bite out of Cthulhu, Matt?
It's better than nothing.
All
Either
right,
you eat
so,
Cthulhu or you go hungry.
So, scenes that you don't like. Matt.
Trying to think. There's a particular scene I didn't care for. Pick and choose. I can't really think of something off the top of my head, but I will say that some of the dialogue between Davros and the Doctor did get a little repetitive at times, as I recall. But again, it was short enough that you didn't really care.
Okay.
It's searching for a nitpick.
All right, Tim.
Going back of my favorite scene, my least favorite scene was when Missy tricks Clara into looking at the security scanner. It's like, okay, fool me once, shame on Missy. Fool me twice, shame on Clara.
I think that kind of harkens back to Bill's statement of Clara being an idiot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, having apparently taken several levels of gullible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she just obviously was not paying attention.
All right, Bill, your least favorite scene.
The only scene I really have is one that also harkens back to what I was talking about before, and that is the scene where she's just having so much trouble figuring out things like, well, think turn to the left and you'll turn to the left. Well, I don't know how to do that.
Yoink.
I get that it's kind of a stressful situation, but you don't know how to think left. And that's pretty much my main down scene of this.
All right. Aaron?
I guess. Trying to think. I think I want to say almost the sewer scene. But mostly the scene where they're walking through the sewers. It was kind of squicktastic, a little bit, nasty looking and stuff. So
Kind of the point
yeah,
of it.
I mean, it's also kind of the thought behind it is also kind of nasty too. Where instead of burying their dead, they just flush them down the toilet.
They're goldfish.
They're goldfish. Also, it does. However, that does bring you back to the overall what I liked. Another scene where they kill a Dalek and then pull the mutant out of it and put someone inside the Dalek shell. So that harkens back to my overall. They're calling back to the Dalek serial.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yeah.
Also, you'll notice that the Dalek mutant that is pulled out is definitely not the same model that they've been using as Dalek mutants since the beginning of New Who. It's kind of gone back to the more classic gooey.
That's true. I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Gooey octopus-like thing.
I mean, granted, I think the mutant was already had been throttled close to death when they pulled him out. But even still, yeah, it didn't really look like the Dalek Khan model.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I have two least favorite scenes, both of which have been improved by the Department of Nitpicks as being such. And the first one is in the sewers. As you see Missy explaining what the sewers are, she pokes the wall with a sharp stick, and the wall gives off a Dalek scream, which I sat there in disbelief at it, because why would it be able to scream with a metallic screamy voice when it doesn't have a case?
True.
Mm-hmm.
It should be going, because that's all Dalek mutants can do.
I mean, I could see it having a voice because in New Who, they have been able to speak without the casing.
Have they actually taken a Dalek mutant completely out of the casing and have it talk?
I would consider Dalek Khan to be that, because there's enough of a casing to create a pedestal, but not really any mechanisms around him. Unless there's like a mic in the base.
I would assume that there'd be some of it there. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was still like one cord hooked up to the sound so they can hear clearly.
There's also the Dalek in Dalek.
Yes,
yeah, but that's still entirely in its casing.
Yeah.
Whereas Khan, I would consider to be a little more out of its casing than that one. Same with Into the Dalek, was technically inside the casing. Same with the one in Asylum. So Khan, I would think, is the most out of the casing we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, then we have, Daleks Take Manhattan with the human Dalek, but there it's, managed to assimilate human vocal cords.
Right.
So, not an issue there. Personally,
I just kind of assumed during the Time War that Davros modified the design so that they can communicate if they're removed from their casing.
It still doesn't make sense why they would have that same metallic scream.
No, they shouldn't have a metallic sound. I agree with you there.
Yeah, because that scream was Nick Briggs using the 30 hertz ringtone modulator.
Yeah, if anything.
Are you sure it's not like some kind of echoing thing going on, or
No, it was a very clear single scream.
Mm-hmm.
If anything,
that I'll have to listen for.
She stabbed the wall with the stick, and it went ah.
Yeah, it should be less of a metallic Dalek screech and more of a screech.
Yeah, exactly. And the second nitpick is more dialogue of Davros talking to the Doctor, and that come closer. And he literally says the lines, "Let me look on you with my own eyes." I actually sat there for a moment and went, seriously, Davros? So when you're hatching this plan to rob the Doctor of his regeneration energy, you hatched this plan while watching Return of the Jedi, weren't you?
No, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I had a little twinge of that too. But then all of a sudden he actually opened his eyes. I'm like, oh.
There's a lot of Palpatine moments for Davros in this, when he's trying to talk the Doctor into committing genocide.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him to say give in to your hatred.
Give in to your hatred, Doctor.
So yes, now imagine Davros with the Palpatine hood, would you?
Well, I mean, he was sitting there for how many years with his black and white TV. He probably had some Star Wars movies.
That would make Colony Sarth a Sith, wouldn't it?
At least he didn't start quoting Moby Dick.
Well, if that makes Colony Sarth a Sith, that kind of actually makes sense, because he is about as much personality as that Sith from Episode 1.
That is pretty much, yeah. But no, if he started quoting Moby Dick, people would start mistaking him for Khan Nguyen and Singh.
Exactly. The Doctor tasks me.
Oh, also another favorite scene I had is when Missy was brought back up to the Daleks, and she goes up to the head one, and she's like, "You've always been my favorite." I'm just sitting there going, "Yeah, I'd have a toy of that if I could."
Speaking of Davros and his TV, I was trying to figure this out. During the episode that they're watching in the beginning, because I guess they're just sitting there watching old Dalek serials while they're talking. Was that Evil? I mean, was that Power of the Daleks they were watching, or was that a different serial?
I don't know.
They were showing clips from all of the previous
it looked
serials.
Like 60s era visuals, and there were people in lab coats, and I can't think of any other Dalek serials with people in lab coats.
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Bill, I did see that TV several times, and they were showing clips from all of them. It would maybe depend from scene to scene which one they ended up having clips from, but they were repeatedly showing different clips from all of the previous Dalek serials.
Okay.
I thought... I didn't think there were any clips from Power intact.
Power? Yeah, I'm not sure about Power.
I don't think they're... I'm trying to remember now.
There can't be any clips of Power because there isn't anything outside of the weird close-up thing between the Second Doctor and the Dalek. All there is still images. Maybe Genesis. Because they had guys in lab coats and everything.
Yeah, you could have seen Genesis.
And I think I did admit when I was looking for it that the fact that it was on a black and white TV might have thrown me off.
Yeah. That might have thrown you off a bit because there were guys in lab coats in that one, for sure.
All episodes are missing. I wasn't sure if there were any clips or not because I know on occasion
there are like maybe 4 or 5 tiny clips, but none of them with the lab assistants or anything that I'm aware of. Again,
obviously, we'll honestly never know for certain.
Anywho.
Unless we sit here and watch all of the Dalek serials while watching this episode and cut and paste.
So those were my 2 nitpicks, was that and the fact that he used those lines. I honestly didn't care that he opened his eyes.
Yeah.
Although if his eyes were able to see, why did he always use a freaking...
Well, and that's why that's another reason why the idea that Davros was playing the Doctor the whole time makes it a little better for me. I could entirely see that he opened his eyes, couldn't see a damn thing, and pretended he could,
and just knocked out the light in his.
Yeah.
Because you noticed the second the Doctor said regeneration energy and turned his back on Davros to go to the thing, that light came back on.
And then he starts to smile.
Didn't he smirk or start giggling or something?
He smirked and started to giggle just before the scene switched.
I was surprised that when he opened his eyes, because I always thought that they
always kind of like they're burnt out or something, but yeah, apparently they're just underused.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they were probably damaged in the accident that cost him his legs.
The nuclear explosion.
Used them since.
They were atrophied.
Also, seeing Davros out of his chair was interesting too.
Yeah, there's not much left of his underside.
Right. I mean, especially between. I mean, there was already not much left of him, and then Revelation happened, and he lost his remaining hand. And then Journey's End happened, and he lost half of his remaining flesh, creating new Daleks. And here we see what's left.
Not much from the hips up.
You're more machine now than man.
Twisted and evil. God,
hey, that's machinist.
Now, if the doctor had said a variation of that line, we would know it was on purpose. Of course, this doctor, I think, would actually say that it was a quote. He would be like, "You're more machine now than man, Davros. Twisted and evil. Didn't I see that in a movie once?"
Actually, no, that'd be more Tenet. You're more machine now, man. Twisted evil. No, wait, that's Return of the Jedi. But this one, he'd probably say he's more like Darth Vader. More machine than man, twisted and evil, you know.
Right.
Not really say it's a quote, but reference the source directly.
And then he would say, not that all machines are twisted and evil. Many machines are quite friendly and active members of their community.
Like
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Let's see. Cybermen, Wotan, the boss, the
Speaking of
Mechanoids.
machines that are active members of their community, has anyone looked at any of those articles where they're talking about how Moffat wanted to have K9 appear in Last Christmas? I didn't read any of them because I figured there was probably not much to it. I also figured they probably don't have the rights at the moment because I know there was the issue with taking K9 out of the Sarah Jane Adventures so that they could do the Australian show.
Yes, but the Australian show has been lost in development hell for 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was really more courtesy.
Okay, they didn't have to. They just were asked to and complied.
No, they weren't asked to. They just decided to.
Gotcha.
Decide for the most part, unless he was very integral to a plot to leave him out.
That the creators did not want K9 to play a large role because of his own separate show.
No.
Nah.
I just think that they decided not to. And besides, every actor that's ever worked with K9 has mentioned that K9's a bitch to work with.
Even Mark IV?
Even Mark IV. You notice Mark IV didn't move much. It's not just getting the dog to move. It's the fact that to get the dog into the shot, you usually have to hunch down next to the dog when talking to it, or have the dog up on something. It's an awkward size. It's kind of like R2, only worse.
At least R2 is up to your hip. Oh, also, I got to see the special weapons dog talk more this episode, too. I still see he looks fine.
Something just looks off to me, but that's just me.
Yeah. I still
the special weapons Dalek, by the way, as a slight Doctor Who Legacy spoiler, was actually a monster this episode for Legacy.
Okay.
Oh.
They also mentioned him in Doctor Who Extra for this week. The fact that he hadn't spoken in the past, and that they rigged him up with lights for this story.
Yeah, it's mostly the lights that bother me. I think it's having that entire dome light up just for some reason hits me wrong. Anyway. Let's see, what else can we talk about this episode? How did you think it meshed with the first episode? Guys.
I think it worked fairly well together.
It worked very well together.
Yeah, it was a pretty good build-up.
I mean, the only issue is if you're watching it in a marathon, then the cliffhanger kind of becomes really out of place. But that's the only nitpick I would have.
What do you care? It's a marathon.
You think Moffat's doing better as a two-parter writer than a single episode writer?
So far, yeah.
Think so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think historically, if we were to look back, I think his two-parters have been a little stronger because there's more time to flesh out the ideas. Silence in the Library, The Impossible Astronaut. Of our issue, the issues with the Pandorica opens are generally not with the plot, but with the characters. But as a two-parter, it still works as a fairly decent plot.
Yeah, my issues with Impossible Astronaut.
Oh, that reminds me of something I was going to mention with this. The whole idea the Dalek has is kind of undermined by that episode I just mentioned because of the thing that we don't like.
Huh?
Huh?
The Dalek that pleads for mercy in The Big Bang.
This actually goes out of its way to explain it.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
It's if you take it retroactively, that explains it.
I think the Doctor wasn't present when the Dalek was pleading for mercy from River, right?
No, it was just River.
He was gone already.
So that might explain it, that he was not in the room and did not hear that Dalek saying that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I never said anything that he heard it explain it. That was my basic issue with it, the fact that Daleks, it's not supposed to be in the Dalek vocabulary.
Right.
But now he's gone out of his way to explain why.
I mean,
And
in terms of it
if
being in the
I had
vocabulary,
thought,
I've always seen that to be something that like a Dalek would promise, just never deliver on. So I could see them, knowing the word, just not associating any meaning with it.
I can imagine a Dalek would hear the word mercy a lot, from its victims.
Oh.
yeah, and when so, they claim not to know the meaning of the word.
Yeah,
We've had
Daleks have no concept of mercy.
Mm-hmm.
It's also kind of interesting. Now Davros knows that Gallifrey is around still.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So he's probably
Which
going to
makes
go
him
out of his...
twice as nasty of a problem now.
I do like the fact that they've given Davros a new lease on life. I wonder if all that regeneration energy meant he's grown legs.
I wonder.
That would
I
be
was
interesting.
expecting him to become young.
I mean, I think it might be more functional for him to, grow a non-robotic hand at this point. But I mean, he did become younger. He did look like he became about 500 years younger.
Considering how old he is, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He became something far more lively.
He looked about as young as he looked in, Classic Who, which was quite a long time ago for him.
And several deaths earlier, yeah.
Which means we have another full lifetime to deal with Davros.
He's back, baby, and he's crazier than ever.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and go on to our final thoughts here. Matt.
Oh, as even a single story, this one has a little bit of padding, but it's padding that's usually done in a very good way. It can get a little lengthy at times, but at the same time, they are trying to get enough time to actually do things properly. We've had this issue last season where we constantly didn't have enough time to flesh things out. This one feels exactly the opposite. We have our huge setup the first episode, and the second episode we finally get to finish fleshing everything out, and then the big ploy finally explodes in our faces, and then we have to see all of the aftermath. So as a single episode, a great follow-up to the first one. As a double episode together, fantastic story so far. Let's see how this keeps going.
All right. Tim?
So, that's... Are we doing, like, our thoughts of the whole two-parters?
If you want
the
to.
final thought should be mostly for The Witch is Familiar. Our ratings are going to be for the entire thing. But we did kind of give final thoughts on Magician's Apprentice last week.
All right. So, final thoughts, which is familiar, is that while it was a rather simplistic plot for a season opener, the scenes in that simplistic plot were extremely well written and with great dead-on characterization of the Doctor and Davros, and a new dimension to their relationship, which brings this episode up in my estimation. So.
Is that it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Bill?
I'm going to say that this lost some of the excitement and wow factor of the first part. It did maintain a very, strong episode storyline from there, and it was very nice to see, everything wrapped up nicely without, needing another 3 seasons to explain why the Doctor was supposed to die or some other random element. Also, a lot of very great moments, capitalized on, a lot of the best things about them, and definitely a good way to bring, this line is more the whole two-parter, but definitely a good way to bring Davros back after, over 5 years again, and it definitely did, the story did him justice.
All right. Aaron?
I have my own little speculation as to why they're now letting Moffat finally do two-parters. I feel that maybe he wanted to do two-parters before, a lot more before, but they wouldn't let him because of continuity. People being wary of continuity. I keep wanting to say continuity, but what's the kind of the
Overarching stories.
serialization? Well, the serialization
Yeah.
effect, where if people see numbers on episodes, they're less likely to just jump in. That's why you don't
I
see a lot of
I
numbers.
honestly think they're to the point where they're letting Moffat do whatever he wants with the show.
Yeah, I'm thinking he has full. I mean, RTD had full creative control.
Yeah.
I think Moffat
Although
did
he
too.
did have a partner to check his excesses, and Moffat does not have that.
Yeah.
He has co-executives, but they generally play second fiddle to him, as far as we can tell.
I was just wondering if maybe the reason why now we're getting a lot of two-parters is that they wouldn't let him do it before because they didn't think it would work to have an entire season full of, one or two-part stories.
As far as
Because
I
if,
was aware, he was of the opinion that people didn't want two-parters, which is why
Yeah.
he himself said no two-parters.
okay.
Yeah. He was mostly actually he didn't like doing two-parters, as he was thinking that it wore him out faster.
Okay.
Which is a silly notion.
I thought that they thought that it would. I thought that, like, some executive at the BBC would think
No.
that it meant that people didn't want to, hit a second episode and realize, oh, this is part two of a story I never saw the first part of. I'm not watching
I mean,
this, and go off and
the
watch
thing with
something
that is,
else.
New Who has generally avoided that trap by making part two very different from part one. This is actually the most classic two-parter we've gotten, I think, since the launch of New Who, except for maybe The End of Time. But
Yeah.
generally, their part two is different enough from part one that they consider it a distinct story, except in like some of the production codes and such.
Yeah, hence with the different titles too, I guess.
Right.
Too.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, this would just be The Magician's Apprentice Part 2.
Like this is I think the only two-parter we have that has featured pretty much the exact same locations in both parts.
Okay. Still, I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it a lot. A lot of callbacks to the classic serial, and just the fact that it was a little bit drawn out, but yeah, they still managed to build up a lot of suspense, and it did actually pay off. So that's it for me.
All right. So my thoughts were when I tuned out last week. I was really concerned on how this episode was going to go, because there were several Doctor Who no-nos that they could have stepped on, and Moffat is well known for, trotting headfirst right into those particular landmines. To my very much pleasure, Moffat not only avoided those landmines, he has addressed and dealt with several others that have occurred during his writing, making me start to think that, maybe he's finally gotten a clue. I am not entirely convinced of this, as the last time I made such prediction was the beginning of Series 7B, where I actually was speculating that Moffat may have gotten his groove back. And then we had a season of unbridled mediocrity, and absolute horror, such as Journey to the Center of the TARDIS.
Yep.
However, I am willing to give this a chance, and I am currently hopeful. I actually adored most of this episode, and it made me appreciate the previous episode much better than it had before. So I have to give you, Stephen Moffat, kudos. very much kudos for this particular writing. All right, so score time. Remember, this is for Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar. You can give them both individual scores, but you need to give them a combined score, which is going to be the one recorded. So you can choose just to give the combined score too.
I'm definitely going to go for a combined score on this. Oh gosh, but where to go? We have there are nitpicks to be had if we look for them, and we have to go after them with more or less a fine-tooth comb, except for maybe a few things here or there of Clara in the second episode. But beyond that, there's so much good characters. There's so much good dialogue and writing with these characters. Capaldi is probably as best as the Doctor right now, as of this two-parter. This is the most on-screen time we've had at the Davros. I said Capaldi.
I thought you said Capaldi.
I don't know why I started at first. I corrected myself and said Capaldi.
Gotcha.
But is it alright to give it a 5? I don't know. Maybe? This is a really damn good episode. This is probably the best Moffat episode I've seen in a long-ass time. I think that's worthy of 5. Yeah, I'll give it a 5.
All right, we've got a 5 from the Matt. Next, we hear from the Tim.
The Tim says this was a really, really good episode. It just wasn't as good as a season opener should have been, so I'm going to give this a combined 4.5.
All right, from the Tim, we go to the Bill.
4.5 as well. Not quite to that 5 level, but as good as, I'd say, in the same ballpark as Genesis, which I gave a 4.5 as well.
And from Bill, we go to the lovely Aaron.
I'm going to give this a combined score of 4.5 as well.
I'm the highballer.
Kind of just felt like it was missing a little bit of something, but otherwise very, very good.
All right, I mentioned giving an individual score. Coming out of the last episode, I was probably going to give The Magician's Apprentice about a 4.0. It was good, but it felt like it was missing something. Yet, I completely adored this episode. And I would have given this episode a 5. Averaging the two together does make it a 4.5 to me.
I'm the highballer.
Puts us at a 4.6 average.
Always highballing.
It does indeed put us at a 4.6 average.
Which puts us at the third highest 12th Doctor story so far, behind both Darkwater, Death in Heaven, and Time Heist.
Still, it's up there. Very good company.
Yeah. And the fourth best Davros story altogether, which had Remembrance of the Daleks at a 5, Genesis at a 4.8, and The Stolen Earth Journey's End at a 4.7.
Come on, behave yourself.
No.
My computer does not like copying, pasting in Google Docs.
Google Docs doesn't like copying and pasting.
It's a very silly notion to not like copying and pasting. It's kind of a necessary thing to speed stuff along.
Yeah, 1, 2, 5. I'm giving, and it is a total of 4.6 from the core, which will put us, sorting it, sort range by column C to A, and then by column D, C to A, sort. Puts at a 4.6, puts us at number 12 on the list. It is literally tied with the Bells of St. John, which I just mentioned, as what I thought might have been a Moffat turnaround and turned out as a descent into mediocrity. I believe this is the last fully Moffat episode we see until the ending, isn't it?
Possibly.
Yes, the next he has the 2-part series. The finale is his next episode, not counting the co credits.
Which is
And
usually
it
him
puts
punching
it-
up dialogue.
Right.
Just
Which,
above
as
spare
a story
parts.
editor, I still don't see the point of even putting his name on those. But
It puts it just above spare parts and a couple of notches below Day of the Doctor.
Ooh.
So it is in really good company.
Oh, yeah.
So very good start to Series 9 by Stephen Moffat.
Let's see if he can keep that thunder rolling.
Yes, please do. Please do. Give us a season that we'll love you for. And
Before
then
you
tell
go.
us you're retiring. Yes, go on a high note.
Yes, please, by all means, give us the most spectacular season we've had in a while, and then leave. And just go, yeah,
Speaking of
I
which,
like it here.
apparently at a recent event, Moffat was asked about the rumors about Series 10, and he allegedly got kind of pissy about it. So take that however you will.
What rumors about Series 10?
About whether or not it would be a split season or all in one year. Apparently his response was something about why was to appear angry and then ask why can't we focus on this season.
I'm wondering if that means it's out of his control.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And on that bombshell, I think it's time to end this podcast.
Yeah. If you enjoy listening to us, please consider subscribing to us on YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Mixcloud.com. You can also like and subscribe on Facebook and Twitter for updates. And if you want to support us, you can head on over to patreon.com/Unearthly Podcast. And of course, do not forget to join us next week as we take a look at Under the Lake, written by... Come on... Should have had this up before, but I didn't think about it. And of course, TARDIS
Darn
Data
it,
Corps is
Sleepy
acting
Bill.
like it doesn't know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, next week we talk about episode 3, Under the Lake, which
Take
is
it all,
another
Bill.
two-parter.
Yep, so next week is going to be a non-voting week, so we'll just be purely discussing the episode.
Pure discussion next week. See you all
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
Good night.